Hi everybody, welcome back to Math Maintenance. Today I want to talk about place value. Place value is so important when we're talking about numbers because it tells us how to say the numbers, how to read the numbers, and how to understand the numbers. Now, when I start in my place all the way on the right, this was called the one spot. Whatever number is in the one spot are just singles, right? So if I have 3 in the ones, that just represents that I have 3 of an item. That's different than the spot just next door, which is the 10 spot. If I have a 6 in the 10 spot, it's not representing me having 6 of something, but instead that I have 6 tens of that number. 6 tens would be equal to 60. If I skip count that, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 6 tens. The next spot I come to is the 100 spot. If you're catching on to the pattern, you're seeing that the number that I put in the 100 spot is not representing that I just have 4 of a number, but instead representing that I have 400 counts of that. So if I skip count 100, 200, 300, 400, I now have the number 460 because I'm reading this as the number of tens I have, 463. Now, to help chunk our numbers a little bit, we use commas to separate things. So when I get past the hundreds, there's a comma to separate out the next chunk of numbers. The next chunk of numbers is all about the thousands. The first spot after the comma is just the thousand spot. You can think of this kind of like the 1000s of the number world. So just like we had ones over here representing 3 ones, whatever we put in here is just single thousands. So if I put a 5 in here, it's 5,000 because each one of these is just a single thousand on its own. The spot next to that is going to be the 10,000 spot. Whatever number I put in there, say I put a 2, is representing that I have 2 10,000s of that, which means I have 20 thousands. See how our spots kind of match up going along? So ones, after the comma we have 1,000. Tens, after the comma we have 10,000. Hundreds, after the comma we will have 100,000. So if I put a 9 out here, I have 900,000. When I go to read these numbers, I then kind of read them in chunks as well. So I would read 925,000. So I'm thinking of this chunk first. I'm thinking about just saying this number, 925, and then I say which category it came in. 1,000, and then I go to my next part, 463. If I mix up my numbers, let me put some different ones in here. Maybe I have 6, 7, 5, 2, 3, 1. Again, I'm just going to read the number in this chunk and then say 1,000, and then I'm going to read the number in this chunk. So 675,231. The same thing would happen if you went out into the millions or into the billions. You can think about those commas as chunking the numbers so that you're really only ever looking at a 3-digit number and then saying the big category heading for that part. So 675,000 is the big heading that held those numbers together, 231. Now, sometimes our numbers have decimals. So if there's a decimal after the 1 spot, we can have a portion of the number or part of the number. So we can go this direction and add on to our number. We don't use commas in the decimal part. So even though over here we chunk 3 together and then use a comma, in this part, we never see commas in the decimal portion. The decimal portion, we also add TH endings to our spots, but they follow the pattern that we had going on this direction. So after the decimal comes tenths. I use a darker marker so you can see that better. Comes tenths. After the tenths comes thousandths. Oops. Silly Mrs. Iwansky, I skipped one. Tenths, hundredths. THS. And then we get to thousandths. Adding those THS endings are the clues to you that you are talking about small numbers, less than 1, that are falling in the decimal side of things. In your packet, you have a place value popsicle sheet that looks like this. It will tell you a color key, and it tells you to look at the underlying digit and identify its place value. So you will look in each popsicle and figure out whether the underlying number is a 1, a tens, a hundreds, a thousands, a 10,000s, a 100,000s, or if it's in the decimal, a tenths, a hundredths, or a thousandths. And depending on what place value is underlined, you will color the popsicles to match it. So if it's in the thousands on this one, you color it brown. That's your worksheet practice for today. Your manipulative practice is that you have a sheet called place value dice. What you're going to do is you're going to take the die in your kit and you're going to roll it once, and whatever number you get, you have to decide whether you're going to use that number in the hundreds, the tens, or the ones. Now, the goal is to make the biggest number possible. So if I roll a 1 on my first roll, I might say, well, I can probably get a higher number than that, so I'm going to put the 1 in my 10 spot. Now if I roll a 4 on my second roll, I have to make a choice. I could use my 4 here and hope that I get a 5 or a 6 on my next roll. Or I could think 4 is pretty good. It's bigger than half the other numbers on the dice, so maybe I want to use my 4 in the 100 spot. If I use my 4 in the 100 spot, my third roll is going to determine what goes in my third spot. Maybe I get lucky and get a big number like a 6. Maybe I get unlucky and get a small number like a 1. Whatever I get, I fill in, and my number shows up as a 3-digit number. You're going to keep rolling the dice and trying to see if you can come up with better strategies to get bigger numbers. If there's somebody who wants to play with you at home, you can play against somebody by using 2 of the grids at the same time. You're filling in your numbers in one as you roll, they're filling their numbers in the other one, and then when you're done, you can compare your 2 numbers, and whoever has the bigger number is the winner. Good luck practicing place values today.